Welcome to Wild Her Wisdom, the podcast where bold meets brilliant and wisdom gets a little wild. Join Shelley and Mary as they dive deep into real conversations about life, leadership, creativity, and everything in between. We're here to spark laughter, light up inspiration, and celebrate the wild and wise woman inside you. Whether you're chasing dreams, finding your balance, or just in need of a good laugh, you are right where you belong. Let's jump into today's journey together. This is Wild Her Wisdom.
Welcome back to Wild Her Wisdom. I know Mary and I took a little break. Sometimes you need a little downtime. We're back, aren't we, Mary?
We are fully rejuvenated.
Rejuvenated and better than ever. I am just so honored to introduce our guest today. I've known her for a very long time. Her name is MiChaela Barker. Listen, I didn't ask her for her bio because this lady has done everything in the world. She is the founder of Matcha Scrubs. She's a strategic project manager for a Fortune 1000 company. She's a singer and songwriter. She has her MBA and her master's in public health from Yale. She was the student government president at the Yale School of Management. What hasn't she done? We don't know. We don't think it's possible. She's done everything. MiChaela, how are you?
I am doing really well. I'm doing really well. You guys did a good job with my bio.
I don't know. Did you mention badass, Shelley?
I did not mention that part.
Got to put that
Mary.
one in there.
I mean, anybody that's doing all of these things, and you're basically an influencer now too, MiChaela. Like your Instagram's amazing.
Thank you. I try to spread the knowledge that I've learned throughout my now 29 years, but soon to be 30 years on this earth.
Happy birthday to you. It just gets better. It just gets better, I'm telling you. So let's talk a little bit about what first sparked your passion for creation, whether it's in business or strategy or music or your education. What sparked that in you?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. My mom always jokes that I never said my first word, I sang my first word. So I basically was a baby singing all the time. So from the music perspective, that's just something that was a huge part of my life from both sides of my family. You know, my mom and dad have singers and songwriters growing up in the church choir, doing musicals. So that was always a place that I felt very comfortable and was just inherently safe to me. And I apply that a lot to even business. I actually, when I was writing my personal statement for Yale at the MBA and the MPH programs, I wrote about how I don't like living in a box, and I fully reject when people say that you can only choose one thing and you have to just have tunnel vision on that, because it's not realistic, right? We are all very intricate and holistic human beings with a plethora of interests. And so even as it pertains to entrepreneurship and music, I'm always thinking about, okay, what can I do differently? What are other people doing? What's a different lens to look at this? And I think it really helps me not only be creative, but also have a strategic edge over my competition, because I'm able to pivot through the medical lens, the business lens, the singer-songwriter lens. And it just makes everything that I do, honestly, a bit more authentic because it's very me coded throughout the entire thing.
That's amazing. And all these lenses kind of create this rich tapestry. It's a layered journey. So if you had to describe your essence in 3 words, what would they be and why?
That is a very good question. The first one, I would definitely say extra. And I think that I think that my family and friends would agree with that, because I'm very much like a 0 to 100 type of person. Like if I'm going to do it, I'm absolutely going to do it in whatever way works best for me. So that is one. Another one is very determined. Even if I am not, let's say, naturally good at something, someone might be more naturally gifted than me, but you're not going to outwork me. I will work so hard to get the end result that is very important to me, and just flexing all the muscles that I can. And then the third word that I would use to describe me is honestly very blessed, because I've had amazing opportunities whether it's through working hard, through my family providing opportunities, putting imposter syndrome to the side. So I definitely don't take for granted everything that I've been able to accomplish and the people that I've been able to meet. And I think that a reason that my life has been so positive is because I acknowledge that, I try to be humble about that, and then pass those blessings and opportunities on to other people as well.
That's fantastic. I love that you said no one will outwork you. I was watching a documentary the other day on Netflix with my husband because I'm a super nerd. So if I'm not reading, I want to watch a documentary. And Warren Buffett was telling a story about a lady who came to this country, didn't speak the language, couldn't read or write the language, but no one could outwork her. And she
Mhm.
started her own furniture company, like basically in her basement. And he bought it from her, like this is in the 80s, for like $65 million, which was that's
Wow,
an astonishing amount of money, right? And he's
absolutely.
like, but she always said, like, no one can outwork me.
Mhm.
So I love that you describe yourself that way. I have two questions for you, MiChaela. One, do you sleep?
Honestly, no, that is one thing that I'm very, very bad at, and I try to get better at it. I attempt to go to sleep by like 10:30 a.m. because I wake up at 5 in the morning to work out. But depending on what I'm doing, honestly, I'm also very much a nerd, so I'm always reading something, and I will often fall asleep with a book on my chest and wake up in the morning with like the lights still on and
Oh my
everywhere.
gosh.
Trying to get better at it. I really am.
So you're trying to get about 6-ish hours of sleep is what you're going for.
Yes,
You're still
exactly.
you're still young. You're still young. You can do that. Um, my real question, because I watched this through social media,
Mhm.
is what inspired the birth of Matcha Scrubs?
Yes, so a few things. Honestly, the main inspiration was my mother, who you all know, but in case listeners don't, my mother, Dr. Elaine Barker, is an OBGYN, and she is an African American woman, as am I. And as I was growing up watching her go through residency, she typically wore braids, but traditional scrub caps didn't fit her braids. And so she would often have to straighten her hair, which led to heat damage. A lot of scrub caps were too small, so they couldn't hold her natural curls and coils. And then most scrub caps are made out of, either cotton or this polyester blend. So it's very drying and causes a lot of damage. And so it's something that I was always interested in, but I didn't know how to fix it, right? I had been exposed to different businesses, but not really creating something fully from the ground up. And while I'm creative musically, I'm not a designer, so I didn't know how to pursue it. And then when the COVID pandemic hit, I saw that issue really get exacerbated, especially with all the PPE that she had to wear, from
Hmm.
the masks and the eye shield holders and everything that she was wearing. And she would actually come home with marks on her face and even lesions on her ears just from wearing these things all day. And that's when I decided, okay, this is a problem that I'm going to tackle and I'm going to figure it out. So that was the genesis of matcha scrubs.
How did you figure it out?
A lot of trial and error, and emphasis on a lot of trial and error. So, to my earlier point, not being a designer, what I actually started out doing was I bought the scrub caps of my potential competitors so I could see what I liked and what I didn't like. And I called it my Frankenstein phase, where I would literally unclip the seams, take everything apart, and put it back together the way that I had envisioned it. And when I had basically an MVP, a minimum viable product of what I thought this could look like, and I was at Yale during this time, I then utilized my resources in my community and I put out an ad for a seamstress saying, hey, I have an idea. Does anybody have any background in this space? I will hire you. I will actually pay you money to make these things. And a girl responded, and her name was Maggie, and we worked together, and she made the first 6 prototypes of matcha scrubs. From there, I had medical students, nurses, doctors, even estheticians test it out. And I told them, wear them as if you would on a regular day, throw them around, put them in the washer and dryer, like put them through the ringer so I can see what does work and what doesn't. And as that progressed, I started doing more pitch competitions, applying for accelerators, getting more and more funding. And then I was able to scale to get everything fully funded from my IP, my inventory, and we launched on Juneteenth of this year officially from the direct to consumer side.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh. Isn't that a great story?
It's amazing.
I've
Amazing.
I've seen videos. I mean, your family is involved in this too. Like I've seen videos
Very.
of them in the house packaging things up
Yep.
to ship them out. I mean, that's
Yes. There was one day, it was for the biggest order that I had gotten. So I do direct to consumer shipping and I also sell to hospitals and clinics. And that particular video was when I just got an order with the Mount Sinai hospital system, and it was my biggest order yet. They ordered over 100 scrub caps, and I was like, I am one woman. I need help. Like, you guys, we got to get this done. And it was a really special moment to me because I was able to pack those orders with my grandmother, with my mom and my dad. And so it was really cool, not only having them be able to hold my products, but to be a part of the process and see them go out. And it was something that I definitely cherish a lot because I care about generational wealth. So it was really cool packing with the generations that raised me.
what lessons has entrepreneurship taught you that surprised you the most? Because you went from, college student to owning this business and having your family involved. Like, what have you learned about yourself, about business that has surprised you?
So much. One of the biggest things for me that I wasn't necessarily expecting was that being regimented in your time does not stifle your creativity. It actually helps it. I think that a lot of people think that you're either super creative or you're super like high strung by the book and there's no in between. And that's not true. Something that really works for me is planning out every hour of my day from working out to meal prepping to, yes, answering business emails and making content. And being able to have those blocks of time actually decreases my anxiety because I know what to expect. It's not just out there in the ether. And that makes me be able to be more creative because while I'm doing those tasks, I'm locked in. I'm not thinking, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. I have a set schedule. I'm sticking to it. I'm able to get things done. And that's something that I definitely wasn't expecting. But another thing is that I didn't know how much patience I would need throughout this journey. And, and it is a lot of patience because there are certain things that are just out of my control. And I am
Hmm.
the type of person who I like to get things done. Like I like to be dependable, but there are certain things like with my intellectual property being filed. Once it's filed, now I have to wait for the USPTO to respond. And there's nothing I can do to make them look at that application any faster. So things like that and just releasing control and saying, I did what I need to do. I did my due diligence. Now move on to the next thing because worrying isn't going to make this go any faster. It's simply going to spike my cortisol, and I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
You have a role managing strategic projects for the president of a Fortune 1000 company. So you're leading at a very high level. How do you stay grounded while you're, navigating such a fast-paced and high-stakes environment?
That's a really good question. And I love to talk about this because, like you said, working for this company and directly for the founder and the majority shareholder, there are a lot of things that you have to do, a lot of numbers to be ran, and a lot of people depending on you. So, one of the things that really helps me to stay grounded is I do work with an amazing team where if we do mess up, yes, we're held accountable, but then we learn how to fix it for the next time. The second thing is that our company actually employs a lot of entrepreneurs who want us to think outside of the box. And so I find that being able to be in a space where I'm not surviving, but I'm thriving, because if I throw out an idea that might not work for, let's say, a traditional consulting company, they're willing to try it here and experiment. So that whole onus of feeling very safe with the people that I'm with truly helps. But then another thing that just helps me to stay revitalized, but also sane, because I'm doing a lot of things, as you have mentioned, is making sure that I schedule that time for myself to decompress. I am very, very protective over my MiChaela time, and that's outside of my 9 to 5. That's outside of matcha scrubs, and it's even outside of working out. I love working out, but that's not MiChaela self-care time. MiChaela self-care time is reading a book. I love mysteries. I was a
Mm.
Nancy Drew girl growing up. So I was like, I can solve anything. I am a mastermind. Like, I love doing that. I really do. My parents will tell you, I was the kid at like the Scholastic book fairs going for Nancy Drew or all the little cool spy equipment because I was like, I'm gonna save the world. And my mom was like, MiChaela, please stop buying all these things. Oh my God. But
Oh my gosh. While you're sitting there and I have my magnifying glass and invisible ink at my desk.
exactly, exactly. See, this is why we're close. This is why we're close. But things like that. And also, I love skincare and I love perfumes. So being able to spend time doing those things, buying those things, it makes me feel cozy, comfortable, decreases my anxiety. But yeah, you have to make sure that you're scheduling time for you because you can't pour from an empty cup, you know? So
Mhm.
we can't be on the go all the time.
You know, we're just in such good company. Mary and we also think we're part-time PIs and we
Mm.
manage time like nobody's business.
Yep.
We are multitasking detectives who probably should start our own charcuterie business, just saying.
All of the
I'd love
things.
to be
There's still
part.
time. There's still time. So this is something that Mary and I talk about a lot, MiChaela, particularly for women and then for women of color. I think it's a big important thing. How do you bring your full self into the boardroom?
That is a wonderful question. So it's no surprise that most boardrooms don't look like us, right? And whenever I go into these spaces, especially at work, one, my boss is amazing and he always pulls me into things. He takes it very seriously, teaching me the ins and the outs of how he conducts his meetings, who he brings on, who he chooses to get rid of. So that is definitely an access to a certain privilege that I don't take lightly at all. But the biggest thing that I can tell people is that being over prepared doesn't mean that you're being performative. It doesn't mean that you're not being true to your authentic self. It doesn't even mean that you're code switching, right? It just means that you are coming into a situation fully aware, and that helps me to really show up as my authentic self. I know that this is an audio only podcast. If people could see me, they'd see that I have rings on. I'm very much a like blingy, bright colors type of person. My favorite animal is a peacock, so that fully encompasses kind of my personality, right? And I show up to work in my bright colors with my natural hair, with my rings on because that's who I am. But just because I'm young and I'm bright and all these other things, I can definitely read through a balance sheet and see what isn't working, where is this money coming from? Where is it going? What's the ROI? And so being able to make sure that you know your numbers, you know your data, and you know what questions to ask, that truly helps me show up as authentically as possible in those boardrooms because any assumptions that people have about you just looking at you, you may or may not be able to change your mind. But one thing you cannot argue with me on is my understanding of data. Like you can't pull the wool over my eyes. And once people see that, they're like, oh, she's serious. And I'm like, you think I got 3 degrees because I was bored? Like, no.
So you're also a singer-songwriter. So how does music feed your soul and your spirit, and just really help you make space for your artistry? And how do you do that alongside all the other things that you do?
Yes. So music has always been such a huge part of my life. I absolutely love it. And it's another form of therapy for me. I never sing about something that I haven't personally experienced. And it's really cool blending the worlds of business and music, and people don't really talk about that enough. So even things like negotiating royalties, if you have a contract
Mm.
producer, and it's an educational experience too, right? Like I self-taught how to produce. I have a studio in my apartment, which my last 2 albums that I released were all recorded in my apartment, written by me, produced by me, like the whole 9 yards. And it's just a part of my everyday life, whether I'm singing covers or I'm jotting down new ideas. If anyone ever gets access to my voice memos in my phone, which I hope they don't, there's going to be like 48 hours of me just singing to myself different song ideas. But in terms of balancing it all, it's just such an integral part of my life that I don't let it fall to the wayside. Even when I was at Yale doing all the activities and all the things, I held 2 album releases and I performed at other venues. And even now, with launching Matcha Scrubs, I'm still recording new songs, new EPs. And I actually just got the trademark for Bella Rain. So I'm very happy
Yeah.
about that. It was a perfect early birthday gift, but it's a form of almost journaling for me. The way that people write down their thoughts, I sing my thoughts.
How therapeutic is that?
Well,
Yeah,
I have to say, Mary is also a singer. She has quite a lovely voice as well.
I love
So,
to hear that.
Yeah, well, we'll meet up for karaoke sometime. That's
I would love
that's
that.
where I shine.
I would absolutely love that. You're my type of lady.
All right.
so it sounds like your entrepreneurial spirit is very much tied to your music. You've done some original stuff. Can you share like a lyric or a story in your music that holds some deep meaning for you or that really embodies you?
Yes, so one with very, very deep meaning to me was from my album Lioness, which that was the first one that I fully self-produced and wrote and recorded all literally in my apartment in New Haven, Connecticut, in the corner of my room. And it was also the hardest song for me to do. It's called Patch Through to Heaven. And it was written in remembrance of my late grandfather on my mother's side and my great grandmother on my father's side. And, we lost them during the COVID pandemic, not to COVID, but to esophageal cancer for my grandfather. And then my grandmother, she suffered from a stroke. And those were two very close relationships in my life. And even with, going through memorials and things of that nature, I didn't feel like I personally was honoring them in the way that they deserve to be honored. And I thought, I was given this talent of singing and songwriting and producing, so let me go ahead and use that. And I wrote the song Patch Through to Heaven, where I basically talk about if I could talk to them one more time, what I would say to them, how much I love them. And then actually at the very end of the song, I put on the record two of their voicemails, the last
Mm.
voicemails that they ever
Oh,
left. So that one always gets me because I can hear their laugh. I can hear them saying how they're so proud of me. And I think that encompasses me as a person too, because yes, I'm extra and creative, but family means a lot to me. So
I literally got chills. I literally got
Hmm.
chills when you said that. Oh my gosh.
Same. So you embody, MiChaela, what we like to call wild wisdom. So an integration of intellect, intuition, creativity. So how do you navigate being so multidimensional in a world that often wants us to pick one lane?
Yeah, that's an insanely good question because I think about this all of the time. And what I try to remind myself and other people is that when you look at anyone who's on like Forbes, billboards, the people who are on your vision board for success, right? They're never just doing one thing. They have multiple things that they're doing, whether it's running different enterprises, having multiple streams of income, there's always something else that gets them there. And even when you look at people who are, high achievers in office, what have you, it's not that they're successful because of just one thing. It's a culmination of multiple skills. And so for me, with doing things like music and musical theater, I learned how to improvise. If something doesn't go right, I'm like, okay, what's the next thing that I can do? How can I fix this in that moment? And when it pertains to healthcare, right? How do I triage what's most important? And that determines my business decisions and my entrepreneurial decisions because you're always going to have 1,000 things rolling around in your mind. But being able to be very decisive about this is what I'm going to focus on and this can wait for later, it's all intertwined. So when people say to just pick one thing or you're doing too much. I full-heartedly disagree because there are different skills that are applicable across all boards.
Hmm. I love that. You don't let people compartmentalize you. And I love that. You are such a wise soul at such a young age, MiChaela.
Thank you. I was
What?
raised right. My parents did a decent job.
They sure did. They sure did. What legacy are you intentionally building? Because you said you believe in generational wealth. You have all of the matcha scrubs, your leadership, your music. What legacy are you intentionally building?
I love this question. Something that is very important to me, especially on the generational wealth side of things, is making sure that my family is truly set up for success because I believe that I'm only successful because of the sacrifices that other people have made for me. And I want my future children and their future children to have it not as easy as possible, but easier, right?
Mhm.
And I work from a lens of if I'm only doing things to make my life better, it's honestly selfish and a disrespect to my ancestors. I should be passing along everything that I've learned. I should be putting the next generation in a better position than me. So that's number one. And number two is that your wisdom and your education is so important, whether that education is formal, like going to a university, or a trade, because those are things that people can never, ever take
Right.
from you. Materials can come and go, job titles can come and go, but if you know how to do something and do it very, very well and stick to that, you can always create some sort of future for yourself. And that is definitely a legacy that I want to leave behind, especially when we're talking about people of color where opportunities are being stripped away every single day. You have to know how to be scrappy. You have to know how to pivot. And that is so, so important.
Mhm. I always say education is the great equalizer. There was a
Yeah,
reason that people tried to keep women and Black folks and marginalized communities uneducated because education is the great equalizer.
exactly. Exactly.
So, what advice would you offer to women who feel called to create something of their own, but they just don't know where to start?
Mhm. The first thing that I would say to them is write down their why. Why are you doing something? Because some people get focused on the glitz and glam versus the actual purpose behind something. And let me tell you, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but as an entrepreneur, if the goal was just I want to make a lot of money, I could be doing anything else. Entrepreneurship is a labor of love. It's not this amazing. I'll leave my 9 to 5 to be my own boss. Like that, when you do that, your 24-hour job is running that company, your customer service, your marketing. You might have to be HR sometimes, depending on your
Mhm.
scenario. So writing down your why is the first thing to make sure that you have a clear vision. What's motivating you? What do you actually want to do? And then the second thing, it's very funny, is to just start, even if it's ugly. And this is something that I learned both with entrepreneurship and with music. A lot of people get so focused on perfection the first time that it stops them from ever starting because they feel like, oh, if it doesn't work or if people don't like it, then I'm a failure, I'll be embarrassed. No, if you look at the first version of anything, it was either ugly, it didn't work, and the only reason it works now is because they iterated so many different times. Like I'm sure you've heard of the company Poppy, right? The prebiotic
Hmm.
soda that everyone is obsessed with. It wasn't always Poppy. It used to be this like nature made apple cider vinegar soda that was only sold in like the corner of Whole Foods, and no one really liked it because it just seemed like too crunchy, I guess, are out there for people, but then they rebranded and they geared towards women and younger women in bright colors, and then people loved it. And a lot of these things that are super popular now, they started off completely different from how they are now. And something that I take to heart when it comes to entrepreneurship or music or even just starting is that it's not always what does work that will give you the most knowledge, it's what doesn't work. And
Mm.
that is something that I really, really learned throughout this journey because there were certain things I'm like, yeah, as a consumer, like, of course, I'm going to be, pushing these cute little viral videos and blah, 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 and that'll get me followers and so much engagement. And with matcha scrubs, like, yeah, sure, a little bit, But then when I was talking to doctors and nurses, they're like, we don't really care about what's on social media. We care about what our peers recommend to us. It's the word of mouth that matters. And then that totally changed everything for me because I'm like, why am I spending hours trying to make this aesthetically pleasing post when I can just talk to people that work at the clinic, you know?
Right.
Just starting somewhere and being willing to learn from the things that don't go well is very important.
I just love that story. Everything always happens in the right order. So as I said, I'm a nerd, so I listen to books in the morning because I don't watch the news or anything. So I'm listening to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, I think it is. And so
Mhm.
I'm listening to that, and they were talking about what I was listening to this morning. The chapter was most people stop before success,
Yes.
before they achieve success. So it's all, Mary, I don't know if you've read the book, but it's all about this person, like, leveraged everything, borrowed from people, got all the equipment to go and find gold, find the rich earth. And he got a little bit, and then it got tough, and he thought he just got, bought a terrible gold mine and basically gave his stuff away. And the next guy came in and leveraged his resources, looked at what they did and what they did wrong, and 3 feet away, there was
Mm.
gold. And so oftentimes we stop just short of the finish line. So I love the idea of do it even if it's ugly,
Yeah. Do it
and
even if
leverage the resources of the people that you know.
exactly. Exactly.
So I want to end with this one question, and then we're going to go into our no filter finale, which is one
Okay.
of my favorite parts. But what's one wild, bold, or beautiful dream you're holding close right now?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I would say that one of those dreams for me would be to be on the cover of Forbes one day. I would love that. I would love that. Despite the whole like Forbes curse thing and the Theranos, all of that stuff, like I'm not claiming that over my life. I'm not speaking that over my life, but being able to have a moment like that for me, one, it would be a great personal achievement, yes, but again, family is very important to me. So I would see that as a win for my entire lineage and bloodline. My parents were the first in their families to go to college. My grandparents graduated high school and everything like that, which was wonderful. They did what they needed to do, but just to be able to show them like all of your decades of hard work and sacrifice culminated to this moment, and this is our family's legacy, and how that can signify where we can just keep going from here is something that I would love to achieve. And it's on my vision board. So one day,
It's
one
going to
day
happen.
it's gonna
I
happen.
see it. I see it happening.
All right, so MiChaela, we're going to close with our no filter finale, which is what we're just going to ask you a question. You're going to say whatever it is that comes to your mind first. There are no wrong answers.
All
Mary, you
right.
want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mary's always so nice. She always lets me go first. She's so polite.
Mm.
All right. Tea, coffee, or matcha?
Ugh, I would say matcha. One, because matcha scrubs. Obviously, I have to do a plug there. But two, I'm not a coffee person. I am not a coffee person. I actually don't drink coffee at all. It's strictly tea, whether it's in the form of chai or matcha. But lately, my greens have been getting me through it.
Love it. All right. Current song on repeat.
Ooh, the current song on repeat for me is it's actually it's actually this gospel hip hop song called Tricky, and it has like the most intense trap beat ever. And I play it during those moments where I'm just so frustrated, but I'm like, whatever is ticking me off today, I'm not losing my spot in heaven. So this is how I'm gonna process it.
Awesome. Um, a mantra or quote that's guiding you right now.
Oh, yes. For this one, it's actually something that my mother told me when I graduated high school. And I actually spoke about this at Yale for my graduation speech. But it's called, she literally just said, walk slowly. Like when I was talking about how nervous I was for graduation, she said, walk slowly, just those two words. And I took that to heart with everything that I was doing, whether I'm frustrated, whether I'm having an amazing moment, like being on the NASDAQ or doing a pitch competition, just walking slowly, making sure that I'm taking in each and every moment because I'll never have those exact moments back.
That may tie into the next question, which is your favorite way to ground yourself in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah, reminding myself to walk slowly is a big one for sure. And then the other one is honestly praying and specifically listening to instrumental gospel music. It calms me as a musician. I always need something playing, something in my ears, whether I'm anxious or sad, or again, to my earlier point about the song, I'm like, all right, if I'm angry, I'm going to process it by just screaming out these lyrics because I'm too pretty for prison. So I can't do this. My future's too bright. I'll just process their music.
That sounds like another side hustle business. I'm too pretty for prison. Okay,
Yes,
people.
yes. Birthed right here.
What is an archetype or symbol that you're embodying lately?
Ooh, for that one, I will go back to my favorite animal of a peacock, which is often associated with pridefulness, right? But the actual reason that the peacock is my favorite animal, one, there are hints of turquoise in there, which turquoise is my favorite color. But two, I actually did a personality test back in high school. And I actually got the koala as my animal archetype. And the koala was somebody that was, very nice, but a bit passive and would let people walk all over them. Whereas the peacock people were always willing to stand up for themselves, were not afraid to speak their minds, and weren't afraid to ask for more. And what I noticed in that room was a lot of the people of color were the koalas. And a lot of the Caucasian people were the peacocks. And in that moment, I was like, oh no, 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 no. Like this ends with me. Like this ends with me. I'm gonna be a peacock, even if I have to learn how to peacock. Like I'm gonna advocate for myself. So definitely a peacock.
Let's see, one thing you're saying yes to and one thing you're letting go of.
Ooh, very good one. I am saying yes to more things that I've always wanted to do. For MiChaela specifically, I've spent a lot of time helping other people, which I do love to do. But especially as I approach my 30s, those things on my bucket list, I'm going to do them. One of them being going to Greece for my birthday, whether they're big things or small things. Like, I'm so excited for Greece, guys. You have no idea. I made a PowerPoint for my outfits and everything. I'm so excited. But even the little things, like I wanted to get into growing my own herbs. So I bought an arrow garden. So just letting myself live my dreams, whether they're big or small, something I'm saying yes to. And then something I'm saying no to are people who just no longer deserve access to my time because they can be, toxic or draining, or maybe we've just outgrown each other. And that's not always some drama-induced thing, but at a certain point, I'm like, look, I have to put myself, my family, and always God first. And if you are taking away from that and not adding to my life, I'm so sorry for you, but your access is revoked. Seats are very limited here, reserved seating only, and you just can't be in my space at this time.
Love it.
Perfect. All right, this one's a fill in the blank. This is the last one.
Mhm.
What wild her is
Impactful, because I think that people need to have really honest conversations and hear these unfiltered opinions and what life is really like, because social media, LinkedIn, everything can very much be a highlight reel, but we need to get into it for what these things look like, the toll it takes on our mental health, and we need to have more conversations about this and have more women supporting women.
Oh my gosh. It has truly been so amazing to have you on today. I just see Mary's eyes just looking at you like, oh my gosh.
I just think you're
Oh,
so amazing and so lucky that at just 30 years old, you're where a lot of women find their wisdom in their 50s.
yes.
You're coming into the place that I'm only just coming into now as I'm pushing 60. I think you're amazing and good for you, and you're a badass. You go.
Thank you. Also, you do not look 60 years old at all. So I was here thinking,
Hey, I'm not there yet. I'm
please let
pushing
me
it.
know. I was like, wait a minute. There's no
Mary
way.
is
Hold on.
gorgeous. And
Give me
Caleb,
the skincare routine.
before we let you go, how can people find out more about you? Where can they go?
Yes, absolutely. So on LinkedIn, you can find me as MiChaela Barker, and MiChaela is spelled like Michael with an A at the end, and I'm the MiChaela with a capital C, so it'll stand out easily. On Instagram, if you're looking for the music side, it's at the Bella Rain, with Rain being REIGN. And for more of the business side of things, it's at the MiChaela Barker on all my socials.
Thank you so much, Michaela. You're going to have to come back again once you are probably going to be on the Forbes magazine here any moment now. We'll be like,
Mhm.
we knew her when. Let's see if we can get her back and tell us all about the behind the scenes.
I will
Thank you
always
so
come back
much.
to you guys. I
Thank
will
you.
always come back.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for another Wild Her Wisdom. We can't wait to see you again soon.
Stay wild.
And just like that, beautiful soul, we have wrapped up another episode of Wild Her Wisdom. But don't let the journey end here. Come connect with us. Follow us on Instagram, like our Facebook page, and visit wildherwisdom.com to catch up on episodes, grab extra inspiration, and stay part of our Wild Her community. And remember, the conversations here are for your inspiration and empowerment, not professional, medical, or therapeutic advice. Trust yourself and reach out to qualified pros when you need to. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and keep living your Wild Her life. You are powerful, you are wise, and you are absolutely unstoppable.